All right. Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning. Can you all hear me and see a screen? Yes. No. Can hear me? Can see a screen? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Give me a second. Right. Okay. So I think many of them are missing. That's no issue. Okay. So what we ideally have to do today is we'll start with the unit 6, the essay questions, right, from macroeconomic equilibrium, and we'll kind of go on. And okay, just want to check, do you all do the questions? Yes, no? Found time to do it? No? Did not do? Done? Okay, some of them, wait a second. Like some of them have, some of y'all have not. Okay, I'll be talking about this unit. Okay, this unit is actually one of the easiest, right? One of the easiest units that you will ever come across in the syllabus. For some reason, right? I don't know if it's how teachers teach it, or I don't know if it is what uh maybe that's your school teacher, or maybe that's someone else, right, who has put in that impression, right? They put in this impression saying that this unit is hard. Even national income accounting, same story, right? Even that unit is actually a very simple unit. If you look at your A-level paper, if you look at your A-level question number 5 right now, that comes from unit number 5 and 6, is a very direct, a very simple question, right? It's either a calculation, they might either give you a calculation, or they'll ask you very direct theory question. There's nothing that that you will have to think. There's nothing they ask about, let's say, even recent trends. There's nothing of that, right? It's a very easy question. For some reason, there's a lot of students who don't do this question. There's a reason, I don't know why, right? So now I think it's a little too late for me to correct that. But people who are actually looking at doing this question, oh, who have not even thought of even targeting questions yet, I think you are doing the right thing, right? And also, one more thing is, need to really appreciate the effort that you put in to wake up early morning to actually come to class. So I know it's not an easy thing, but even on my end, right, a Saturday morning would have been a nice day for me to sleep a bit more. But yes, I'm here, and really like the fact that y'all are also here, right? Will you have your exams in October? I'm not very sure, but let's hope and pray that the exams will be on October. They will also try their level best to keep it on October, but the only issue is that a few schools have not finished their syllabus yet, right? Mostly these rural schools, they've not finished it yet. The ones that don't even have access to the internet, not y'all. Y'all definitely do have access to the internet, not y'all. The ones, the schools, to the teachers, to the students who don't have access to the internet, who are not able to, let's say, conduct classes on Zoom. Now, in that case, they might not, they will not shift the the exam because of the COVID thing, because they are anyway planning to start schools in August. So if they can start schools in August, they definitely can have the exam in October. But the only reason that they might shift is that syllabus issue. So we'll see, right? We're not very sure. We'll hope and pray that it happens in August and it is done in August and that it does not drag. If you're with the mentality that it's good if it gets postponed, that means you're at a very bad level right now, right? So if you're with the mentality that you somehow need to get it done in October, that's good news. You are a bit confident and you really want to get it done. So there are two types of people, right? But as far as I know, with the chat I've had with my students, most of them want to get it done in October, right? They don't want it to get postponed even further. They want to somehow finish it off in October. That means they're somewhat ready. They know that they can plan it out and then they can somehow do it off. But just think for yourself as well, right? If you're in a level where you feel, let it get postponed, that is better. That means you're not yet prepared. It's high time that you work on it. Okay, this question is combined with national accounting, but yes, it is. But even national accounting is not that hard, right? If you have learned it properly, if you've learned it from someone who could have taught that to you properly, if you've done the questions, and you've done the past paper questions, which we would have done a few months ago, right? It was actually very easy. It was nothing rocket science. I'd asked you what, there were a few theory questions that was about what is value added though, what is, let's say, double counting error, let's say, what are the components of these. So they'll ask you what are the benefits of calculating national income accounting, what are the limitations, and also they'll combine that with a small sum. That is all that they do even in national income accounting. If you have properly done the past papers, you will see how easy the questions are, right? So okay, they said they'll postpone it for 2 weeks. I'm not very sure about this thing. I did not get any inside information to anything. We'll see, but we'll hope and pray that it happens in October. Okay, right. 2011, question number 5. Now, in the previous papers, 2018 and before, right, at times you got one full question from unit number 6. Macroeconomic equilibrium, you have one entire 20-mark question. But now you don't have one entire 20-mark question from unit number 6. I'm hoping you all know how the format works. Now, how it works is now you'll have 120-mark question from unit number 5 and 6 both, right? This 5 and 6 combined, that you'll have a question. So if you're going prepared to write this question, okay, please be prepared. Unit 5 and unit 6, and personal recommendation, it is not hard, right? It is not hard. You do get a very, very direct question. Yes, it was the same last year as well. Okay, right. We'll start with this. 2011, and for some reason I felt I need to be a little bit more calmer today, not too active. So I'll try to do that. Okay, what are the components of aggregate? Guys, give me your answers as well, so that I know that you're at some level. I can explain depending on the answers I get, right? So what are the components of aggregate expenditure in an open economy? And define each component. A very, very direct, a very, very easy question, right? So what are the components that we have in aggregate expenditure? Question number 5, part A. In an open economy, guys, okay, what is an open economy in very simple terms? When they say open economy, how many sectors do we have in an open economy? We have 4 sectors, right? An open economy is a 4-sector economy, right? What are the 4 sectors in the economy? You have, just this is general knowledge, okay? You have households, right? You have households, you have firms, you have the government, and you also have the external sector, right? So all of these together is what you call a 4-sector economy. Then another word is an open economy. Then you also have something called a 3-sector economy, where you don't have the external sector. Another name for a 3-sector economy? 3-sector economy. Another name where you don't have the external sector. You need to know these other names that you know exactly. It's a closed economy. So if you have the households, firms, and government, only those 3 components, we call it a closed economy, right? Only the 3 of them. We don't engage with international trade. It's a closed one. Then again, a 2-sector economy where you only have households and firms. What is that called? Exactly. That's called a simple economy. Okay. So I'm hoping you all know the different words, that you all know the difference. Please don't confuse the 3, right? It's not the same concept that they're talking about. A simple economy, a closed economy, an open economy are different. Okay. Right. So then you're saying, what are the components of aggregate expenditure in an open economy? Because this is not your answer. I just told you this. So what are the components that we have? So we have consumption. Okay. We have government purchases. Right? We have government purchases. We have investment, right? Investment. And we also have net exports. So Guys, I'm hoping you all have a past paper book that I'm scrolling down so you all can see the question through your past paper book. Okay. So they're asking what are the components of aggregate expenditure and define each component. This is the 2011 paper. Okay, so these are the 4 components. And now they want to define, guys. When they tell you to define, right? Don't go and write pages and pages about something, right? A definition and an explanation is 2 different things. Don't make that mistake. You know a lot about consumption. You know a lot about, let's say, investment. Simply because you know a lot, you don't have to write everything. So I'll say maximum, your answer, right? Your definition should be around, let's say, 3 to 4 lines. That is the maximum. Even with 1 line, if you can define it, if you can give in the keywords, that's fine. But maximum 3 to 4. Don't waste time writing more. That is where you run out of time. Okay, so what is consumption? What can we write here? What can we write as consumption? What do you think I can write? Trying to. What is consumption, guys? Okay, so consumption in very simple terms, right, is, right, the amount, right, the consumption. Autonomous expenses zero income? No. What is consumption, guys? How do you define consumption? Right? So this is the amount, right, of expenditure, right? Expenditure that households, right, are willing to spend on what? Willing to spend on goods and services at a given point of time. You can add that given point of time. If you don't even have them, that's fine. Given point of time. So in very simple terms, guys, you have several components here, right? You have this households. So aggregate what? This households, the amount that these households are willing to spend on goods and services is what you call consumption. So in very simple terms, it's the amount of expenditure that households are willing to spend on goods and services at a given point of time. Hoping that is clear, and it's a very easy one. Okay. And then what is government purchases? Exactly. So if you look at government purchases, right, I'll change the color. That color is not visible. Okay. Okay. What is government purchases? Exactly. The amount, right, spent by the government, right? Spent by the government, right? For, you can say, public services. And is it only public services? Or you can even talk about capital goods, right? So sometimes government, let's say they build the highways, they build stuff like that. The amount spent by the government for public services, you can say, okay, and capital goods is called government purchases. So you can even come up with different forms. You can say government purchases, right? You have you can break it down. You can say there is government current expenditure, right? They are the money that they spend on a day-to-day basis. Inside that, you have very simple terms. You don't have to explain this. I'm just saying, right? Goods and services. You can say the money that they spend on current transfers, right? Different things, right? Current transfers. Hey, is the colors visible or is it not? For me, I feel it's a little not that visible. We'll make a change. Okay, so you have current expenditure. Okay, you have interest payment. Exactly. It's okay. I'm not very sure. I'm in a laptop though. I'm not very sure how it is in a phone. I'll use a bit of dark colors. Okay. And then you can also say that there is capital expenditure. Okay. So simple things like that is what you call government purchases. Then what is investment, guys? What is investment? Okay, I'll answer. An injection that is made to the economy which is considered autonomous is called investment. Okay. They can be done by both households and government, but rather than households and government, who is the main person who is doing investment? Main form of investments comes from whom, guys? From these four: households, firms, government, and the external sector. It comes from business firms, right? So rather than saying, okay, so what is investment? Okay, so a very simple way to define investment, guys, you can say the gross investment, right? Gross investment is the addition, right, to the capital stock, right? The capital stock of an economy, right? The addition of capital stock for economy, usually, right, mostly by firms, guys, right? These investments are usually done by firms, usually by business firms. So if you want, what you can do is you can add into this, you can say what? Consumption of fixed capital, right? Consumption of fixed capital and changes in inventory, right? Or changes in stock, if you have studied it that way. Inventory are a part, right, of gross investment. Something like that is more than enough, right? Remember, you're writing for a small question. You're not writing a big thing there. That's gross investment. Okay, so I'll just space this out a little so that it aligns. Okay. And then what is net exports finally? What do you think you can write there? It's a simple thing, right? Net exports, what do we write here? Exactly. Net exports, you can say it is the, what is net exports? Net exports, we say, is the difference. Recording of this session, guys, will be uploaded on YouTube, but I can't say when. I got a lot of messages asking when I will upload on YouTube, because I also don't know when. That is why sometimes I don't even reply to those messages, because rather than putting this, I have around 50-60 messages asking when. I've clearly told that even I don't know when, so don't ask me, but someday, somehow, we'll upload. We have a small issue uploading the recordings to YouTube. That is the whole process, why that it is getting delayed. For some reason, now these are 3-hour recordings, so it's a little bit big, and to process and put it up, there is some issue on our end. So like sometimes it goes to 90% and then it gets cancelled. So that is why it's taking a little time. Ideally, come to class and learn it, right? Don't depend on the recording, right? Be there and learn it. These are simple questions. Okay, right. So the difference between exports, right, and imports, right, and imports of a country at a particular period, at a given period. We'll say at a given period is what you call net exports. So you can simply say it's X minus M. Okay, something like that I think is more than enough, and I think that is very basic as well. Are you all okay? Yes, shape. Nothing hard, right? First question we went a bit slow, don't worry. Simple economy and a closed economy again. Okay, in very simple terms, guys. I'm hoping by now you all should be somewhat okay, right? Okay, if I'm to add a simple economy and a closed economy, right? A closed economy is a 3-sector economy, right? Where you don't have this external sector. Okay. Okay, when you see me with different type of motivation, I'm wondering. Okay, fine. Okay, government. And then the third part, right? You have a simple economy. Right? Okay, I'll explain what's it. So simple economy, right, is a 2-sector economy where there is only households and firms. Right. Then in very simple terms, now what are investments and what are different things? There was a question. Okay, so investments in very simple terms, right, is the addition, right, is the, now when you talk about investments, we talk about firms. It's where these firms, they add capital stock into the economy. Let's say machinery, let's say buildings, let's say vehicles, let's say factories, right? That is what you call investment, right? So investment, we say, is the addition to the capital stock of the economy. Real capital, guys, tangible capital that we talk about, right? So there are components of capital. Gross investment you would have learned in unit number 5, right? That there is consumption of fixed capital and also changes in inventory, right? Okay, so that is basically it. Fine. Any questions? Okay, there's someone having some fun on the chat box with me. Never mind. Nice to see you all. That's fine. Okay, someone misses me on the chat box. I definitely don't. Guys, any questions? Are we fine? Yes. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next question. Okay, what is the relationship between the savings function and the consumption function? What is this? Relationship between savings and the consumption function? What do we write? Question number 2. Okay, I'll just okay, so in very simple terms, guys, when you're showing the when you're showing the relationship, right, I would like to look at 2 different angles here, right? So the relationship between consumption and savings, right? We're looking at the relationship between consumption and savings. So first of all, say, right, from your income, right, from your income, a part you consume, a part you save. Highlight that first. Do you have to draw graphs? You don't really need, right? So you can say from your income, a part of your income is consumed, another part of it is saved. And then you can add to it and you can say, right? So they're now asking you not this thing, asking you for the consumption function and this function. So you can say C is equal to A plus B YD. And then maybe explain what these components are. So you can say first A is equal to, right? A is equal to autonomous, right? Autonomous expenditure. What is autonomous expenditure? The expenditure at 0 level of income, right? The expenditure at 0 level of income is what you call autonomous expense. And then you can talk about what is this B component, right? What is the B component, guys? Okay, the B component, exactly, it is the MPC. But what does that mean though? What is the MPC? The B, the marginal propensity to consume. What is this in very simple terms? It is, right, when income changes, how much of it, right, will you consume? Exactly, the consumption that is dependent on income. So the change in income that is spent, right, that is spent on consumption, right? That is what you call MPC. Percentage in consumption is percentage in income. You don't have to put percentage there. Okay. Okay. So this is that. So then you can say, now through this, guys, you can show the relationship, right? So you can say, right, savings is equal to minus A plus 1 minus B by D. So now is where you are showing the relationship. So first of all, what is A here, right? What is minus A here? Minus A here, you call it this savings, right? So you call this savings. So you say, right, now what you need to highlight is that when your income is 0, if you're consuming some amount, right? If you have some amount you're consuming, what does that mean? When your income is 0, how can you consume? You're taking money off your previous savings. So at 0 level of income, right? At 0 level of income, the amount spent on consumption is drawn from previous savings. It's drawn from previous savings. So your A will equal that is how your A becomes minus A. So at 0 level income, you're consuming something, means from your previous savings, you're taking some money out, something like that. And then you need to highlight your B component. right? So you need to say the marginal propensity to consume, right? The MPC and the MPS is equal to 1. That means if your income changes, a part of it you will consume, a part of it you will save. So the remaining part, right? MPS. So if MPC is equal to MPC, we call it as B, no guys, right? So if MPC is equal to B, okay, in very simple terms, MPS is equal to 1 minus B. So you can give in an example. So you can say example, right? If, okay, example in sense, you can give in a whole this thing, right? You can give in a whole equation and show that example. So you can say consumption is equal to, let's say, 100 plus 0.8y. So you can say, therefore, savings will equal to minus 100 plus will bracket 1 minus 0.8y. Savings is equal to minus 100 plus 0.2y. You can give in something like that as an example also to prove what you've been writing. I'm just writing points here. You all need to expand and write. I'm hoping you all are okay, and that right now you all can expand and write a answer. Fine. So you can give that as an example. That's the simple relationship between a consumption and the savings function. Okay, so if anyone wants to get a screenshot, you all could do so. Fine. Okay, done with that. We'll go into the next question. The next question, guys. Okay, we have a nice sum here. I'll see. Okay, I'll try and do the sum on this side of the page. Okay, so they're saying, this is from chapter 6. Yes, guys, I'm hoping you all are somewhat awake in class. Yes, this is chapter 6, macroeconomics. Okay, question 5, part 3. For a closed economy with no government, suppose the consumption function is given by C equals 100 plus 0.85, while investment is equal to 50. What is equilibrium level of income in this country? Okay, simple question. Can you all calculate? My 2022 batch will be very, very faster than you all actually. They've been calculating, and they're expert at it. Okay, so guys, you all start with a sum like this. A statement like this. You say at equilibrium, y equals E, right? So therefore, I'm just giving you the formal terms, right? Y is equal to C plus I plus C plus net exports. Now, okay, there is no net exports and all of it, right? This is how y equals C plus I plus G plus net exports comes, because we assume at equilibrium y equals E. The components of E are only Ci and G and Nx, right? And then we write. Okay, so here y is equal to C is 100 plus. Guys, anyone did it using the withdrawals and the injections approach, right? 100 plus 0.8y plus investment is 50. So y is equal to 150 plus 0.8y. I'll take the 0.8y into this side. Minus 0.8y is equal to 150. 0.2y is equal to, as I'm showing all the steps, by now you should be able to figure this out. So y is equal to 150 divided by 0.2. Y is equal to 750. That's your A part of your question. Fine. A very, very simple calculation. Okay, can you do this using the withdrawals equals injections approach? Then the y equals E approach. In case they ask you the question, in case they put this question and say, calculate equilibrium level national income using the withdrawals equals injections approach. Now what do you do? So simple economy, right? So I'll show you that as well. Alternative answer, right? Withdrawals equals injection. So W equals J. How do we show this now? So what are the withdrawals? Can you tell me what are the withdrawals that we have here? You should get the same answer. What are the withdrawals we have in this question? We have savings, right? Savings equals investment, guys. Consumption is not a withdrawal. Okay, so what is our savings function? Injections, we have investment. Savings, what's our function? If our consumption function is 100 plus 0.85, How much is our savings? It's a minus 100 plus 0.2 y. I'm hoping you all can move that around. So that is savings. Then investment is 50. Work things around now. Same story. Right? So 0.2y is equal to, I'll take the 100 in the other side, is equal to 150. So y is equal to 150 divided by 0.2. Y is equal to 750. This is something that most of you all don't know. Right? You all. Now it would have now, there would have been a bell that rang, but before this, some of you all would have been doubting yourself, right? So that's how you calculate it using the withdrawals equals injections approach. So ideally, any of this, you all will get your correct answer. So usually in the question, they don't tell you which approach, but if they specifically say use the withdrawals equals injections approach, then you have to use that and get your answer. No matter which approach you use, you can't be getting different answers. Remember that. Okay. That. So what is the level of savings in equilibrium? What is the level of savings in equilibrium? How do you find this out? Your B part, savings at equilibrium. Simple terms, guys. Now you have your savings function, right? You don't need a graph really, right? You have your savings function, right? So this one. So simply put your equilibrium level of national income into that, right? So this is what S is equal to. S is equal to minus 100 plus 0.2y. So now put the numbers. S equals minus 100 plus y is what you calculated all this time, equilibrium level of national income. So how much is y, guys? Y is mock exams is in August. Yes, fast mock August. 0.2 into 750. So S is equal to minus 100 plus 0.2 into 750 is how much? Is a plus 150. So minus 100 plus 150 is you get as 50. That is how you figure out your C part. Okay, that's C. C. Okay, right. Then sorry, not C, that is B. That's B. Okay, then C, right? Okay, if for some reason the income level is at 800, what will be the level of involuntary inventory accumulation? What is this? Again, my 2022 students will be very much expert in this. So the aggregate expenditure, right? We calculated the total expenditure. Now this Y is equal to E, no, right? So the total expenditure C plus I was equal to 750. People are willing to spend 750, right? But in part C, they're saying for some reason the income level, okay, income means the output. The output is at 800. So what is the inventory accumulation? People are willing to spend 750, but you have an output of 800. How much of an accumulation do you have? How much of more output do you have? That is what that whole meaning is. I'm not going to explain that whole graph of inventory accumulation. I'm hoping by now you all are okay with that. Okay, so in very simple terms, how do you understand, how do you logically think of this question? They are saying there is the output, income and output, same thing. There's an output of 800, right? We calculated the expenditure earlier, 750. So how much of more do you have? How much of more output have you accumulated? Output more of 50, whatever that is, million, no billion, no, there is nothing, just give it as 50. Okay, so how you can give in that answer is simply the inventory accumulation. A second, so part C, right? You can say the inventory accumulation that is equal to your output, right, minus your expenditure, right? So is equal to your output minus expenditure. You have an output of how much? You have an output of 800. Your planned expenditure is only 750. So you have an inventory accumulation of 50. They have not given millions or billions. If they have given millions or billions, then you can write millions or billions. But on the question, I didn't see anything like that. Okay, that's part C. Then you come to part D. If it's 600, is it a shortage? Yes, it's shortage. How to show the voluntary inventory accumulation in a graph? Guys, it's like this, right? So if you look at your y equals e graph, you have your y equals e line. You have this line, right? This is your expenditure. This is how that. So you're at somewhere at this level, right? You're at somewhere here. This one is bad. Let me draw it. Okay, you're at somewhere this level. So where your expenditure is only 750, right? Your output is okay. I want to show this. Your output, this is y. Your output is at 800, right? But your expenditure corresponding to that level is only at 750. Let's see if I can draw a straight line, something like that. So you can show that in a graph that way, y equals e. So even this value here becomes a 800, right? So that's a 800 there. I'm not going to explain the graph in detail. If you all know. If not, just leave it. But these are very basic things which your teacher would have taught you all at one point. Okay, right, done. So then part D. If investment rises to 100, what will be the effect on equilibrium income? Okay, can you all do that calculation? Let me know. If investment rises to 100 now, investment was 50, now it has risen to 100. It has become 100 now. So how do we show this calculation? There's two ways. You can do it using the multiplier, or you can do it in the normal way, right? So I'll just do it the normal way, right? Okay, so y equals c plus r g. So now this becomes 100, right? So this becomes 100. That's the change. It will not increase by 500. Actually, it will increase only by 250. Okay. Yes, they're not saying investment is increasing by 100. Investment is going 200. So 50 becomes 100. The increase is only 50, right? Read the question carefully. Okay, so y is equal to 100 plus, sorry, 100 and 100 is 200. 200 plus 0.85. So I'll move that to this side. 0.2y is equal to 200. Y is equal to 200 divided by 0.2. You get 1000, right? So that is what you need to do. Okay, right? So that is that. If investment rises to 100, guys, rises 200, not rises by 100. There's a complete difference between rises 200 and rises by 100. If they say rises by 100, then 50 becomes 150. If they say rises 200, 50 became 100. Be very careful with how they have worded that. Okay. So what will be the effect on equilibrium income? You simply can't calculate equilibrium income and give like this. Please give it a nice answer at the end, right? So what is the effect? Equilibrium level of income increased by, earlier it was 750, now it is 1000. So equilibrium level of income increased by 250. Okay, so if I want to do this using the multiplier, I'll show this per multiplier, but you don't need it. If you want, I'll show it. Okay, so if you're doing this using multiplier, I'm showing you a different way of getting this final increase by 250 answer. Okay, your multiplier, K, how much is your multiplier? Can you calculate multiplier for me? Is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus MPC. So how much is our multiplier when our, come on. Now when the MPC is 0.8, you all should be able to figure it out. I'm not going to do that calculation for you all. It's 5 times. Okay. So then, if you come into your equation, multiplier, done. Okay. So K is equal to change in what? The change in income divided by the change in any autonomous expense. So in our case here, it's investment, right? The change in investment. So K is 5, we calculated before. The change in income is what you want to find out, right? What is the impact on income? So change in income is what you're finding. And then the change in investment, how much did investment change by, guys? It went to 100, but was 50 went to 100. So the change in investment is a 50. So work things around, you should get a 250 here as well. Yes. Yeah, do you get a change in income 250? I'm hoping you all can do that by now. So change in income is a plus 250, guys. Plus 250 means it is increased by 250. So two ways of doing the same thing. Okay, done. Has to be a O here. In because I feel I'm a little bit too slow today. I don't know why. Are you all also feeling the same thing? Okay, right. The last one. Draw the diagram indicating the equilibrium of both A and B. Okay, so equilibrium of both A and B. How do you show this in the diagram? Okay, your diagram has to be something like this. I'll draw it a little bit bigger, right? But I don't have a proper this thing. Okay, let me see. There is a ruler here. I don't know how this ruler works, but okay. Let me see how I use this. Okay, mistake. Hold on, where am I drawing this? See if I can draw a straight line using the ruler. Okay, so you have your this axis. Okay, this is going to take ages. I'll draw it with my normal pen, but the diagram will be a little bit bad, but don't mind. Okay, you have a line there. You have your y equals. Okay, very hard to draw this. Okay. Okay, you have your y equals e line. You have your expenditure curve, right? And then what happened, because I'm not drawing it to axis, you can draw it to a proper scale. Okay, and then what happened when the investment increased? What happened? The expenditure curve shifts. Okay, it has to be a parallel shift. Okay, let me copy and paste this line. Okay, I don't need both of these lines. How do I erase one line? Okay, problems. Hold on. I'm trying to draw a parallel line, but it's not coming. Okay, but something like that. Okay, so how do you mark the two axes, guys? This axis is your expenditure, it's your E, because you can't change your axes. Don't change your axes ever, right? This axis is your equilibrium, sorry, your expenditure. The other axis is your income or your output, what you call it, your Y, right? So then you need to put numbers here, right? So initially, what was your equilibrium at this point and at this point? What are the numbers that I need to put here, guys? The two numbers here and here. What are the numbers? What should I put there? Is we're graphing the thing. We need to put 750 here and 1,000 here, right? So it's 750 and 1,000. Then what are the numbers do I put here? Where this expenditure function is starting. Can you tell me this? Where do I put numbers over here? What are the numbers I put over here? This is my expenditure curve. The implicit curve, how did the curve shift? Guys, this is the expenditure function. How much do I put here, guys? I need to add my autonomous parts, right? So how, guys, this is the expenditure curve, right? So earlier, how much is my autonomous expenditure? I have C and I. I had, why did we put 1,000? That the new equilibrium is 1,000. So that they're asking you to graph both A and D, right? So in A, equilibrium was 750. In where is D? Okay, A and E then. Okay, sorry, this is D. Sorry, your equilibrium is this. But what if we draw two graphs for each equilibrium? No, they want to show it in one diagram. Two graphs is wrong. Okay, right. Okay, I'll show you how to get the numbers. Guys, earlier, so you have to add your autonomous parts. This is 100 and this is 50. Guys, we have 150 and 200. So the numbers here is 150 and a 200. That's how your numbers come. How do you get these numbers? I'll show it once again. Right. So how did these numbers come? These are the autonomous parts. Now, when your income is 0, how much are your components? That is what we're trying to figure out here, right? So this one, I'll just show the working here. So you had consumption, which was 150 plus 0.85, and you had investments of 50. So you add the 100, sorry, no, you had consumption of 100, right? Sorry, consumption of 100 plus 0.8 was 100 plus 50, you got the 150. That's how you get the intercept. Then after that, later they told you that investment increased. Investment became 100. So now the 100 and this 100, that's how you got the 200. Because this is not your consumption function, this is your expenditure function, right? This is your E. Okay, when you're showing equilibrium, you don't have to show your consumption function, you show your E. So this is expenditure equals consumption plus investment, right? This is the first one. And here, if you want, now investment changed, maybe you can write it as I2, or let's say something else. So that is your second function. So ideally what happened, because of the change in investment, can you see investment curve shifted, your equilibrium level of national income also increased. So this is your diagram. Draw it on a proper scale. Yes, no, shape, expenditure values, expenditure equation there. Values of C and I. Yeah, that's fine. No problem. Okay, that's how a diagram will look like. Okay, shouldn't we also show the savings curve? You can. They have set consumption function, really? No, guys, they're asking draw the diagram indicating the equilibria. So equilibria in the sense the equilibrium. So that is y equals z. Yeah, listen to this. If you want, you can draw the consumption function, you can draw the savings function, you can draw the investment function, you can do all of that. But to show equilibrium, you simply have to show y equals z. Okay. Right. Done. Anyone missed any part? Okay, there was a request on this part. But how can we understand that they're asking us to draw two graphs in one? That's a little bit of a common sense. So they're asking you to show this. Hey, so in simple terms, right? They're saying that the investment is increasing, and they're asking you to show that in this thing. So there is no point of showing this in two separate graphs, right? Then you can't see what is happening. So okay, someone missed this part. I remember. Can we name the axis as equal C plus IN as AD? If you want to, you can, but it would be better not AD really. Go with E actually. You mean the curve, right? Because sometimes now, yes, that the components of aggregate demand and stuff are the same, but when you really look at the aggregate demand curve, it's a downward sloping curve. You draw the aggregate demand curve against the price, right? Remember the aggregate demand, aggregate supply curve, that's drawn against the price. And the AD curve is usually downward sloping according to that. So that's why I would not recommend, don't say AD, say E. I don't think they'll mark you wrong, but E will be a better. Okay, fine. Okay, moving on to the next question. Again, a nice question. Okay, fine, no. Okay, give me a second, let me charge my. Okay, right. Okay, explain what is meant. Okay, we'll start with 2012. Explain what is meant by equilibrium. Again, I can go slowly, but I take time to explain because depending on the questions that come on the chat box. So usually from the questions that come, I know at which level you all are standing. So that is why I took a little bit time. I have no problem. I can go faster, better for me also. Right? Okay, we'll go a bit more faster then. What is meant by equilibrium level of national income and what are the conditions required for the equilibrium in national income? So what is equilibrium level of national income? Guys, we are saying that national income is at equilibrium when there is no tendency for that value to change, for it to either increase or decrease. So in very simple terms, you explain that you say the national income, right? Sorry, national income is said to be at equilibrium when there is no tendency for it to either increase or for it to either increase or decrease, right? And then you can say the particular, there is a common answer that is there in the marking schemes. You all can follow that, right? They say the particular value of national income that exists at equilibrium is called the equilibrium level of national income, something like that. Then they're asking what are the conditions required for the equilibrium in national income? What are the conditions, guys? What can you give us conditions here for the first part. Slow is good, but I think slow is a little bad. Okay, so you have three approaches, right? Guys, when you're explaining the approaches, put it in detail, right? So I'm not giving you the first part, so I'll just show you the three conditions, right? The conditions are condition number one, right? The total income, the total output equals, or income equals the total expenditure. Actually, demand and output level remain inconsistent level. Yeah, you can say that also. Total output equals total expenditure, right? Expenditure. So you can say y is equal to E, y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net export. That is one condition. Your second condition is what? Your second condition is that your total withdrawals, right? Total withdrawals should equal to the total injection. So break it down and show that that is W equals J. What are the withdrawals we have? Savings, taxes, and imports is equal to, right? Investment, government spending, and export. That is the second condition. What are the third condition? If you want, you can write the aggregate demand equals aggregate expenditure. So aggregate demand equals aggregate supply. Okay? Aggregate supply. So you can put in something like that. Fine. So those are the conditions that you need. Question number one done. Then part two, for 2 marks, they're asking you why is savings called a leakage? Guys, why is savings called a leakage? Why is it savings called a leakage? So what is savings? Okay, so we can say savings is the portion of household income. Do we need to explain three conditions? You can explain three conditions, no problem. I just gave it in very short term, right? So savings is the portion of household income that is not passed on, to consumption. In very simple terms, what does that mean? That means, right, this amount does not. Now, if you know the circular flow of income from households, a part of money goes to the businesses. So you can say this amount does not reach the business firms, right? Rather it goes into financial institutes. So where does savings go into? It goes into financial institutes. Then you can add into this, and you can what you can say. So this causes, what do you think happens here? What do you think happens to velocity of circulation when a part of the money is saved? Velocity of circulation to increase or velocity of circulation to decrease? This causes the velocity of circulation to decrease. So something like this, I think, is more than enough for your 2 marks, right? So what is this, and why is savings a withdrawal? Okay, a very, very simple question. Just 2 marks, guys. When they say give you a 2-mark question, don't write pages and pages, even if you know. Okay, question number 3 and 4 are interesting questions. Assume that without taxes, the consumption schedule of an economy is shown below. When income is 100, consumption is 120, income is 200, consumption is 200, income is 300, consumption is 280. They've given a few values. Graph this consumption schedule and derive the equation representing the consumption function. Okay, easy stuff, right? They're asking you to draw this in a graph now. Okay, I can't show you a proper graph, but okay, so in very simple terms, let's say if we can draw this on a graph, right? So now they're asking you to draw the consumption schedule. Okay. Okay. So your consumption function, right, guys, draw the points, right? So this axis is y, guys, that never changes. So this axis is your consumption or your expenditure. So what are the points that you have here? I'll just mark the points maybe using this. So when income is 100, right? When income is 100, they're saying consumption is 120. So let's say somewhere around here, right? Then they're saying when income is 200, consumption is also 200, somewhere around there. Income is 300, consumption is this thing. Okay, so you go on, guys. According to a graph, you all mark it. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to carve in a mark. So you have a few points, and then what you have to do, you simply have to connect those points. That is your consumption function. Okay, so that you all can do, but they're asking you to, sorry, consumption this the graph there, and now they're asking you to find the consumption function. Guys, how do you find the consumption function? The equation now they're asking. So C is equal to A plus B by D. What do you find first? What is the first step in calculating this? Exactly, find the B component first, right? So how much is our B component, guys? Is there anywhere you can teach this lesson again? You can purchase the revision class recordings if you want. I think it's 1,200. You get a tute and you get the entire unit again through our website. Okay, how do you find the B, guys? B is your change in consumption divided by your change in income, right? That is your this thing. So now, if you look at this in very, very simple terms, change in income. Okay, can you give me values now, please? I'm not going to go up. Change in consumption is a 80, if I'm not mistaken, from different points. How much is consumption changing by? It's changing by 80, and the change in income is 100. Yes. Okay. So then how much is your B, guys? Your MPC in very simple terms is equal to 0.8, right? So your B component is equal to 0.8. So now how do you do it? Once you found your B component, what do you do now? Everything done? Problem solved? Done. Exactly. You need to find your A component now. So once you found your B component, you need to find your A component. How do you find your A component? You need to substitute your consumption function. Guys, recordings are there for all the units. Okay, very simple then. I'll just, okay, since I've got 100 different questions from different students, just give me 1 minute. I'll just show you the website and all the recordings that is available. Hold on. Wait. Okay, my Wi-Fi is slow for some reason. It's not loading. Okay, I'll show that in a while. Once it loads. Okay, we'll get back to our question. Okay, so how much is our A component here, guys? So C is equal to A plus B by D. Now what you have to do, guys, to find this equation, to find this A component in very simple terms, right? Take your this thing and substitute values now, right? Okay, so for consumption and income, right? Select any point that you like, right? From this, any point that you like, you can select. So usually, I don't know, for some reason I go with the first point, right? Any point that you like, you can get your final answer. So I'll take in this point, 100 and 120. So when the income is 100, we are saying consumption is 120. So let me use that point here. Okay, okay, so C is 120, A is what we are finding, B we found that it is 0.8, Y we got as 100. So you solve this, you can find your A component. So 120 is equal to A plus 0.8 into 100 is 80. So plus 80, if I take it on to the other side, how much does it become? A is equal to 40. Guys, always remember your A should be a positive number. Till you get 40 right at zero income. He says you can get, but in case they ask you for a working, you need to show something. Okay. So that is your A component. And now what do? You write your consumption function. So what is your consumption function? How do you give your final answer? You say C is equal to A is 40 plus 0.8 Y. That's your final answer. So that's how you construct the equation. Guys, these comes from very basic situations, right? These are very basic things once you all have learned the unit, right? I'm hoping that no one is stuck. Okay. Okay, let me see if the website is loaded. Okay. In very simple terms, guys, just to let you all know, if you all are struggling with a unit, right? Yeah, if you do that, you'll get your full marks. Okay, so if you're struggling with a unit, you can go to our website. All my revision class recordings are there. It's a cheaper option than looking into, let's say towards the last moment, most of you look at individual classes. It's a cheaper option, way cheaper option than that, right? You can access this using your phone also. You can go to the website, right? There are different options that you can purchase. You can either purchase the grade 12 bundle, unit 1 to 6. These are all my revision class recordings. Per unit there is around 12 to 15 hours worth of lectures, so it's very in detailed explained, and you get a tute printed and sent to your doorstep also for all the units. You can watch the recordings any amount of times that you want. Okay. I created this platform because a lot of people, I remember last year towards the end, they asked me for individual classes. I did not have the time to do individual classes for them, and towards the last 2 months, it's very hard for me to help them out also. So because of that only, I've created a platform like this. So at any point of time, any student who starts study, they can do that. So you have different options, right? Unit 1 to 6, 7 to 12, or you can even purchase the individual units if you do want to purchase a bundle, right? So all of that is there. The prices are there. I think 1 to 6 is 4,000, all the six units, tutes, recordings, everything. 7 to 12 is 5,000. If you buy 1 to 12 together, you get a small discount. Just drop in a text to the number and see. Or you can purchase individual units, whatever units that you're bad at, right? So unit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are all recordings, are not live classes. All my previous recordings, which I finished before. So you simply have to click on buy now and follow the steps, right? So click on buy now, follow the steps. In case you get an error, sometimes there is an error that comes in the website saying params invalid or something, then just drop me a text. I will sort it for you. Okay, so I'm not saying anyone has to buy this. I'm just saying if you're looking at an individual class and maybe your individual class teacher is ripping you off in the last few months, that happens. I have seen students go to individual classes where they pay around 5,000, 6,000 a class, right? Maybe some of y'all are also like that. This is a very cheap way than that, right? So you click on the unit, you click on enroll now, and there is a form that comes. You need to fill that with all your details, contact number, address, and everything, so we can send it you. You can watch the recordings even 100 times, no problem. As long as the account is not shared, your account will not get blocked. So that is for some people who are struggling in the last moment, right? And don't have another way out. Okay, so a cheap option than a distinct class. So far, around more than 100 students would have bought recordings. I don't have the exact number, but almost every week there is around 5-10 students who buy. We send. So I'm just one is, yeah. So the sad story about that is that it feels really bad that there are a lot of students who are lost, right? That much amount of students now. There's only 4,000 students doing A levels also in English medium, right? English medium econ, only 4,000 students in the entire country. From that itself, a lot of people buying means they're a little lost. So you can let your friends or anyone of you all also, if you all are lost, so I can think of that as an option. The website, okay, the website is www.iTutorSL.lk. That's the website. Sometimes it might take a little time to load and stuff. That is because of theme and stuff. In case there is any error in the middle, just let me know. It's not SLL, it's SL. Okay, that is the website. You all can go and can do something. That is in case you're lost. Okay, if you're okay with the syllabus, if you're somewhat okay, if you can score 70, 80, 60, 70, 80, don't go there, right? Those are very detailed explanations. There's 2 months to go. If you're not lost, don't go there. Okay. a little lost with any unit, then that's a good place to be. Okay, fine. Are we okay with the consumption function? Yes, no? Anyone questions? Okay, now they're asking you, right? The fourth part, they're saying, now assume now that a lump sum tax is imposed. Lump sum tax is a poll tax, right? Is Z score calculated for English medium students separately? No. You get a EZ score, you get your island rank for the entire commerce stream. Okay, English medium, singular medium. Your island rank is you're competing with not just the 4,000 English medium people, you're competing with 80,000 students. Who 80,000 is economics, but in general, around 100,000 is the entire A levels in commerce. So your island rank, let's say your island 10th, that means your island 10th in the entire commerce stream, not English medium. So your EZ score island rank comes from the entire stream. Okay, right. Assume that now a lump sum tax is imposed, such that the government collects 20 billion in taxes at all levels of GDP. Drop the resulting consumption schedule and derive the equation representing the new consumption schedule. Okay, shall we find the new equation first? How is your new equation now? C is equal to A plus B, by D. This was your function before, right? Now, when a tax comes in, right? When a tax comes, what happens, guys? So C is equal to A plus, right? B, there is a tax now, Y minus T, right? So C, A you had it at 40, B you had 0.5, you calculated. Now Y leave it as 0.8. Y you leave it as Y itself, don't go and change that. How much is tax now? How much should I put over here? What is the number do I put over here? Y minus how much? Exactly, Y minus 20. That's what the question is saying, right? There's a tax of 20. So C is equal to then 40 plus 0.8 into Y 0.85. 0.8 into minus 20 is a minus 16. Right? Hoping that you all can figure it out. So C is equal to 40 minus 16 is 24 plus 0.8. Right. So that's your new consumption function. Okay. So you don't have to substitute for Y, you do anything of that. They're simply asking you for the new consumption function. C equals 24 plus 0.85 is your new one. Earlier you had C equals 40 plus 0.8. So your new curve, guys, if you're drawing a curve, it will start from somewhere like this. Okay, your new curve will look something like that. It's a parallel shift, right? So your intercepts, I'll just show you the two intercepts of the two curves. Sorry. This Microsoft Whiteboard for some reason is very slow. Okay, we have a C equals this. That is your consumption function after the tax, right? So if you look at the two axes, this axis starting point is 40, right? And in this one, the starting point is 24. That's your A, right? In your equations, previous one is 40 plus 0.8. The current one, it's 24 plus 0.8. So that's how you get your numbers. Yes, please draw it on a scale, right? Please draw a diagram on a scale and you can show that. So that is what part 4 is about. Part 4 is about graph the resulting consumption schedule and derive the equation. You can look at your answer in behind your textbook also. You will have something like that. Is that fine? Yes, no? That's 2012. Questions, anyone? Yep. Yes, these are very easy questions, right? Don't get scared. Don't worry too much. Okay. Right. Going to 2013. I'm hungry for some reason. I haven't had anything in the morning. Okay. Okay. 2013 is actually a good paper, right? Usually in your entire A-level syllabus, the 2013 paper is the one that is considerably hard, right? So this is the harder one. Okay, in your entire level papers, right, from 2011 to, let's say we take 2020, 2013 is the hardest paper. You write a new table, You can draw a new table, no problem. So that previous one, you can calculate and do that, no issue. Okay, right. Briefly explain the meaning of the investment multiplier. Guys, what is the investment multiplier? How do you write? Now these kind of theory questions, right? You all might wonder, what do I write? Investment multiplier, I know K equals 1 over 1 minus MPC, right? This is this, but what do I write? Is a question, right? What do I write for 4 marks? This is why you need practice. This is why now these kind of questions are repeated over and over again, right? So what you have to do for these kind of questions is look at the answer behind your past paper book, look at your theory revision notes, right? And formulate an answer. Create one 4-mark answer. And then every single time they ask this question, what you have to do is you have to replicate that. That's all that you have to do. Okay. So what is the investment expense? Guys, I'm not going to, since this is a very theoretical thing, I think I have the answer from the past paper. I'll share that and I'll explain. I'm not going to write anything. Okay, so let me see. I should have the past paper. I'll explain the thing that is there in the past paper itself rather than wasting time doing that. Okay, so this is the past paper answer that I have. This is question 5. Okay, this one. This is the answer, right? So look how they have structured the answer. All what you have to do is on your end, you all also have a set answer like this. These are questions that usually gets repeated over and over again. Okay, so they're asking what is the investment multiplier. Okay, so they're saying investment has a multiplier effect on output. When investment changes, output will first rise by an equal amount. I'm hoping you all know the rounds in the multiplier. First round, when investment change, income also change by the equal amount. But then what happens? That amount gets passed on to consumption. So in very simple terms, let's say a firm is building a new factory. They are investing 1 million. So when they invest that 1 million, yes, investment increases, national income increases. But now, after that, what happens? The people who get that 1 million, let's say the 1 million is given as salaries to people. They spend it on something else, a portion of it from the income that they get. They spend, let's say, 0.8 of it, right? MPC on, let's say, their child's school fees. The school who gets that school fees, they spend it on the teachers. The teachers who get that money, let's say, they spend it on, let's say, I don't know, buying something else. So it goes on and on. So that is why it has a multiply effect. I'm not going into details showing numbers and all of it. You all would have learned sometime before, like my 2022 people are very much good at it by now. Okay, so when investment changes, output will first rise by an equal amount. But as the income receivers in the capital good industries get more income, they set into motion a whole chain of secondary consumption expenditure. If you all don't know the story, this will be absolute Greek. I'm hoping you all know the multiplier story. So this is what we call the multiply effect. So then we say the investment multiplier is defined as the ratio of change in national income to an initial change in planned investment, which causes a change in real output. So they're saying when investment changes, how is your national income or your real output changing? So investment multiplier is the change in real GDP divided by the change in investment. So change in Y over change in I. I'm hoping you all know the equation. So this multiplier, the size of this multiplier is dependent on what? Is dependent on the marginal propensity to consume and the marginal propensity to save. So we say the size of the multiplier on how large depends on how large the MPC or the MPS is. So this is the final one. So that's all that you have to write for your 4 marks. Can you see they're giving 3 main points kind of, right? So something like that, if you all can put out, please, you don't have to use these same words that is here, right? Don't be, scared, I'm not understanding these words are too scary. Go to your theory or revision note, right? Some teacher who would have taught you would have given you some note to study, right? So that note will have something that is, maybe that is what you have been studying all this while. All of a sudden, you don't have to change to the words that they have given in this. That teacher is a reliable one who has given a proper note. you can replicate that, no problem at all. They will not cut marks like that just because you don't have the exact word that is not there in the marking scheme. So that is what this investment multiplier is. I'm not going into detail talking about that. Okay. Then, okay, that's question number one. Then if you look at question number two, distinguish between an inflationary gap and a recessionary gap. I'll explain that using my tute. I have that on my tute. I'm not going to draw the diagrams. So my theory tute, towards the very end, there is the inflationary and this gap multiplier. Hold on. Okay, so the inflationary output gap. Guys, in very simple terms, might try to understand this. They're asking you to explain something called an inflationary output gap and a recessionary output gap. This inflationary output gap and recessionary output gap, right? They come from some concept called, right, the full employment level of output. Okay, so now this YF over here is called the full employment level of output. That means if the country, right, if they use all of their resources, that is the maximum that they can be produced. But if, right, if the what people, right, if the people are demanding, if the people are expecting, right, to spend more than that amount of output, then what do you think you can do, right? So okay, let's say, right, let's simply assume this, right, to understand this concept. Let's assume, right, the maximum amount, right, let's say I am producing something, right, let's say I am producing model paper books. Guys, I'm just a small survey to do, right, from our university, right. We are planning on printing, it's a fundraiser for a project. We are collecting around 4 million for a project, a road track project. This is a survey, right? We are planning to print a model paper book, right, for business studies, economics, and accounting. One book, right, that has 2 questions. So we are looking at having targeted questions towards the A-level paper. And so we're going to analyze the papers and make a model paper book, English and singular medium both. Price, I don't know. We have not even started making that yet. We're still thinking if students will actually buy. So we're looking at, let's say, a price of around 800 or 1000 rupees, or maybe, yeah, we'll say 800 rupees. Will you all buy? Question and answer. 6 model papers will be there. Just be very honest and tell me, because I actually want to check if people would buy or not. This is not me selling. This is not my book, right? This is just a fundraiser that we will be doing to raise some money for a project. I'm just thinking, because the paper question, yes, with answers, guys. Six question papers and 6 answers, detailed answers. So it's prepared by the University of Colombo Faculty of Management and Finance, the people who got 3 years and did go into uni. So all of their knowledge put into people like me. There's a lot of people like me. All of our knowledge put in together, and it's a small book that we are thinking of making as a fundraiser, but we are still in doubt if people would actually buy, because otherwise, yes, one book will have all 3 subjects. It will have one subject will have all the 3, because what we realize is towards the end, some people are actually done with past papers. They don't have questions to do. So that is why we thought of doing something, but there is a big risk. We're thinking of charging around, let's say, 800 the book. It's a complete book, right, around 200 pages with 6 papers and complete detailed answers. So we're still thinking though if people would buy or not. But and also we're looking at a target of at least selling 500 books. Do you think it's possible? Do you think your classmates, students, will they buy? Single medium, English medium, both. Is the price reasonable? Just give me your genuine feedback. This is not my book, guys. I'm not making any income out of it. I'm just thinking, is the idea good enough? Is it actually realistic? Will people buy? Or is there an issue? Do you think we can sell 500 off? Short notes to Okay, give BS account separately, but then we're looking at printing cost. Okay, short notes to suggestion. Okay, nice. Okay, we can think of a short note. Good idea. We sell to a school. School. Yeah, we are thinking of getting in touch with all the A-level class teachers and asking them to help us out as well. So yeah, we can think of short notes and mind maps also. Okay, some people think 800 is too much. 500. Uh, Around 600. Yeah, so we're thinking of this right now at the end of the day because it's a fundraiser, right? So it's a fundraiser. What we are doing is we are okay. The project is about, it's a 4.7 million project, a huge project that we're doing from our club. But there are a lot of aspects into it. One main thing is we are building an entire water system to a village in Monaragala. They don't have water, so like they need to walk 2-3 kilometers to get water. There is no taps, right? At our places we obviously have taps, right? Imagine you don't have a tap. So that kind of situation, so that itself costs around 3.5 million. In addition to that, we are also helping a school in that village. They don't have any proper facilities or anything to rebuild that school. So total there is around 4.7 million of a budget. So for that, we're doing a few fundraisers. We're thinking of ideas right now on what to do. So one idea that came up was this one, to looking at a book. Will statistics and IT be included? I'm not very sure. We're not looking at, we are ideally trying to target the normal crowd uh, because the more pages that goes, the more printing cost also, right? So in simple terms, like we calculated the normal printing cost. Uh, yes, there will be a single medium book also because that is the biggest market, right? The English medium, there's only 4,000 students doing the subject, right? We're thinking of seminar series also, but then Rotary Club of University of Colombo, Faculty of Management and Finance. So that's that was the whole motive of it. We're looking at how to think. So there's a huge risk in putting that book out, right? So because there is no, when we are collecting 4.7 million, there is no point selling just 50 or 100 books where we'll just make 10 or 20,000, right? So we're looking at a huge quantity if we are actually going to do it, and we are still in the deciding stages. If some people are saying it might work, some people are saying it might not work. I don't know, right? Uh, so yeah, we're looking at sharing links, but we tried, but not much of the people are actually putting, right? So we're thinking of a series of seminars also, but Mehmai, now seminars in the sense, it's that is also not that easy to this thing. But I think, yeah, maybe if we can add a few short notes and different things, we can look into something. But to what extent, whether now for econ, ideally the econ papers, I will be the one making the papers from university. For BS and accounts, there will be separate other people. Single medium, there will be separate other people. So now for my extent, I can actually work on a few short notes and I can do that. But if the other people will also be willing to make that, is it connected with schools, impact clubs? Right now, no, but we are planning to. This is the thing, the project is done just by us. We are not connecting with anyone else. But then it doesn't feel right just for the fundraiser to get in touch with interact clubs. So that aspect is there. We're thinking, but we're thinking of a seminar series also to raise funds. Different institutes have approached us and asked us to do a few seminars, but still we can't generate that much. Like for a series of seminars, I think uh, we can earn around 50-60,000. That's all. But we're looking at a huge amount of money. We're looking at 4.7 million here. So we just made the numbers. We saw if we can sell, let's say, around 500 of those model paper books, we can get around, let's say, at least a 400,000 profit, 300 to 400,000 profit if we can sell around 500 books. But the question is if we can actually sell 500, like but I'm sure if everyone supports, we can. The cause is good. There is no profit going on to anyone. The entire profit is going on to this thing. But to what extent will people buy is the question. We'll see if we can connect it with a few interact clubs also. I'm hoping, but by right now your interact period would be over. No, aren't you all done with interact by now? Whoever who was in interact. No interact is it? No, but in our school we finished by, let's say, by March we finished off. It's over, right? Most of the schools, I think, they finish it off. your period is done. Even in our school, it was the same story, but our school, the club is not that active now. It was very active earlier, right? Actually, through Interact, we do crazy stuff. So just a normal thing, right? Through Interact, we actually went abroad, right? From St. Thomas's. We went abroad. It was a fully funded, not a 50% funded trip for around 60,000. We went to Bangkok for one entire week. It was actually very fun. That was the international service project. If you all know the avenues in Interact, then you're in Pearl Island, one with Simmer and this one. We're not looking at now. Thing is, we've gone halfway with the projects. That is why we are not looking at any partners really. I guess there's no point getting in. So even from our cash, we've found around 50%. So from the 4.7 million, we've already found around somewhere close to 2 to 3 million we have found, right? So partnering now would be a little bit too late. So we're not looking at partnering with another club, but different clubs do help us out with different stuff. Okay, just normal random advice. Pearl Island, I'm hoping. Okay, no. Okay, you all don't know the DCM story. Fine. Okay, back to this. The inflationary output gap, right? So the inflationary output gap. Okay, coming back to the point. Okay, where was my question? Okay, my whole model paper thing, where did it come up from? Okay, Gavel Club, we'll see. I'm not very sure how things work. Okay, so let's say, right, I can, okay, let's say from my capacity, right, let's say I can print, let's say 500 model paper books, right? If I use, just think of me, right, model paper books, I can sell one, right? Let's say one book I'm selling at 1,000 rupees, let's assume, right? So let's say this is the maximum, this is the full employment level that I can produce. If I use all the paper and all the people that is there in my university, let's say I can only print 500 books, right? And one is 1,000. So how much is the value of my output? My full employment level of output will be 500,000. Okay, that will be my revenue. That's my full employment level of output. Full employment level of output. So let's say this is the case, right? So I can sell 500 model paper books, one at 1,000. My full employment level of output is 500,000. Now let's assume, right? My question to you is this. Think carefully enough. My question to you is, let's assume that, right, that you're willing to, let's say all the students in the country, they are willing to spend, let's say 750,000 to buy model paper books. Now, what do you think is the solution? What can I do? The maximum I can produce is only 500, my full employment level of output. I'm selling one at 1,000. So I can only produce 500,000 worth of model paper books. But there are people who are willing to spend 750,000 for these model paper books. What can I do? What is the solution? Purpose past papers needs 500. Past papers with 10 years is 500. Really? Is it that cheap now? Guys, how much is the past paper book? I bought it for around 800. Okay, what do you think I can do? Okay, it's 590 now. Okay, so in very simple terms, guys. Now I am having, right, I have a 500,000 output, right? But people are willing to spend a 750,000. Now what can I do? I can't actually increase the number, right? I can't increase the 500, because that is my full employment level. That's the maximum I can produce. But what I can do now is I can sell that same 500 past paper books at 1,005. Okay, model paper books at 1,500 each. So then I can get an output of 750,000. So if people were willing to spend 750, if I have reached my full employment level of output, I can't produce more than that. Only thing that I can do is I can increase price to reach that. That is what you call, because this increase in price, that is what you call the inflationary output gap. That is where this entire name inflation came. Now you all must be wondering, inflation is a rise in prices. Where is this connected to this? Right? That is the whole story. So once a country reaches, look at this thing, right? Once a country reaches, let's say, the full employment level of output, okay, after that, right, after they reach this full employment level of output, if people are willing to spend more than that, right, if people are willing to spend more than that, you can't actually increase your output. You can't increase the amount of goods you're producing, because that is your full employment. But if you want to increase the total value, what you can do is you can increase the price, just like how I did. I can't increase this 500. That's the maximum I can produce, right? But what I can do is I can increase the price to 1005 to match that 750. So that is what you call a inflationary output gap. So an inflationary output gap is where, right, your planned expenditure, right, is higher than the full employment level. So this YF is called the full employment level. When you're beyond the full employment level, right, you call it an inflationary output gap. So here, if you see, they say, right, in some situations where actual aggregate expenditure exceeds the expenditure needed for full employment, an inflation output gap can occur. Here we say, in the above graph, YF refers to the full employment level and Y2 refers to the equilibrium level. Curve E1 represents the actual aggregate expenditure needed to a full employment level of output, and curve E2 shows the actual aggregate expenditure which exceeds full employment. So the gap between A and B is what you call the inflationary gap. This one is called the gap between YF and Y2 is called the inflationary output gap. Is that clear? When you're beyond full employment. Again, I'm not explaining this to someone learning the first time. I'm just recapping. Fine. Okay. That's an inflationary output gap. Then what is a recessionary or a deflationary output gap? Inflation output gap, inventory accumulation, that's the same. No, guys. Now, when you talk about inventory accumulation, there is no full employment there. That is simply Y greater than E, right? Here the whole point is about full employment. If you're beyond full employment, it's a inflationary. If you're below full employment, it's a recession, right? Okay, so a deflationary output gap. Then what is a deflationary? Or we call this a unemployment output gap. Now here, the full employment level is this much, right? So let's say I can produce 500 books at 1,000 rupees each, right? So now, in order to, but people are willing to spend. So let's say I can spend, let's say a 500,000, right? I can spend a 500,000, but let's say people are willing to spend only a 300,000. Now, what do you think I can do? What do you think I will be doing? I have a full employment, I can produce 500,000 worth of things. People are willing only to spend, let's say, 300,000. What do you think I can do now? What will I do now? Now here, I will actually, okay, decrease the price is fine. But what I can actually do is I can reduce my output, right? I have the capability to reduce my output. Now, you can produce less than full employment. No, more than full employment only you can't produce. So think that people are reducing their output. So when people actually reduce their output, right? When people actually reduce their output, what happens to employment? Let's say businesses are cutting down production. They're cutting down production, right? What is happening to jobs? People are losing jobs, right? Now, if I want print 500 past paper, model paper books only, I need this much amount of people. But if I want to, let's say, print, let's say 300 past paper books, I don't need that much amount of people, right? I need little amount of people. So that is where this whole thing, that is where this unemployment output gap or recessionary output gap, that name comes, right? Because when these companies, right, when these firms, they're decreasing their output, right, people are getting fired, there is a recessionary output gap that is being created. So a recessionary output gap is where you are at full employment, right, where you are at equilibrium below the full employment level. The full employment level here, YF is here, right? Yes, revision class students, all these recordings are clearly there. In case you all missed, please go watch, right? But you're actually at equilibrium at Y2. So that gap is what you call the recessionary or the unemployment gap. Okay. So I'm not going to explain that in very much detail. You all can refer to the answer as well. The answer also has a detailed explanation about this. So they put both of this in one graph. So I think they're saying Y2 is full employment. So then Y3 is the Y2 to Y3 is the inflationary output gap. Y1 to Y2 is the recessionary output gap. Okay, so that is what they are kind of explaining. They're putting both of that what I explained in one graph, right? I showed these two in one graph, and then I showed these two in one graph. They're putting all three in one graph. No rocket science there. Okay, that is that. Finally, so going back to the tute, okay, is that fine? Distinguish between an inflationary and recessionary output gap. I'm hoping you all should be able to find the answer for that, formulate an answer. Okay, then we look at the next question. A simple income expenditure model of income determination shows that the economy can be in equilibrium with either inflation or unemployment or neither. So explain using appropriate diagrams. Again, I'll go through the answer, right? I'm not going to draw the diagrams and waste time. So if you look at this answer, how they explain this answer, they first talk about what is equilibrium level of national income. That's the definition. So they say national income is at equilibrium when there is no tendency for it to either increase or decrease. The particular value of national income that exists at equilibrium is called the equilibrium national income. So for equilibrium level of national income, what is the condition we said? Y should equal to E or W should equals to J. So in this situation, right, now the equilibrium level of national income, now even this point, right, so let's say the economy can be at equilibrium at full employment level at YF, Y equals E, that is also fine, right? The economy can also be at equilibrium beyond full employment. Let's say this is YF, so let's make this YF, not YE, right? So okay, so YF. So here, the full employment level of equilibrium is this. But where is the economy actually at equilibrium? That actually at equilibrium at Y2. So that is where the economy is at equilibrium with inflation. And then if you look at this, the full employment level, I'll mark this as YF. The full employment level, right, is here. But the economy is at equilibrium. Where are they actually at equilibrium? They're actually at equilibrium at Y1. So for an economy, right, to be at equilibrium, the condition is Y should be equal to E, right? It can be at full employment, it can be above full employment, that is with inflation, or it can be below full employment, that is with unemployment. Is that clear? Yes? No? Went a bit faster, didn't teach. Guys, I'm not teaching the concept, guys, please don't mistake me. I'm not teaching concepts from the beginning. If I'm teaching this from the beginning, this is not the approach I will take. If you have never learned this unit, trust me, you will be blank with what these diagrams are, right? So I'm explaining this to someone who has already learned this unit and who has actually done the past paper. Please keep that in mind. Don't start cursing me and saying that you don't understand. With 2 months to go for A levels, I'm expecting a certain level of knowledge on your end also. So in very simple terms to explain that again, right? So the question is that can the economy be at equilibrium with full employment, inflation, or unemployment? The answer is yes. For the economy to be at equilibrium, Y should equal to E. So Y can equal to E at full employment. That is your third diagram, right? Then Y can equal to E above full employment. That is your second diagram, that is with inflation. And Y can equal to E below full employment. That is the first diagram, that is with unemployment. So the three diagrams is a must to draw and explain. So that is what they are saying. A simple economy can be at equilibrium with either inflation, unemployment, or neither, right? So that is that story. Okay, then that is done. Shall we go into question number 5? Sorry, not 5, part 4, right? Suppose that for a particular closed economy, for some given time period, investment was equal to 100, government purchase was 75, net taxes were fixed at 100, and consumption is given by the function 25 plus 0.8 YD, where YD is disposable income. So then they are saying, what are the values of government expenditure multiplier and tax multiplier? Guys, can you all find that one? Government expenditure multiplier and the tax multiplier. the government expenditure multiplier is equal to 1 over 1 minus MPC. So 1 over 1 minus MPC, how much do we get? We have 1, right? 1 minus 0.8, your MPC is 0.8 in the question. So you get the government expenditure multiplier 5 times. Then how do you find your tax multiplier? KT is equal to minus MPC or minus P over 1 minus P. I'll say minus MPC here, right? Over 1 minus MPC. So your KT, you get MPC is 0.8. So minus MPC is minus 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.8. So KT is equal to minus 0.8 divided by 1 minus 0.8 is 0.2. Okay, so you end up with how much? KT minus 4. Guys, remember, always remember your tax multiplier is a minus. It will never ever become a plus. That means when your tax increases, your national income will decrease. Or when your tax decreases, national income will increase. It goes the opposite way. So it's always a minus. Okay, those are your two answers for part A. Then for part B, they are saying, suppose that the full employment level of income for this economy is 1,000. What would be the increase in government spending required to reach full employment income level? Alternatively, what reduction in tax collection would be sufficient to reach full employment? It's actually a very good question that you can do a lot. So first of all, before we look at full employment or to look at what is the change required, you need to calculate the current equilibrium. So can you all calculate the current equilibrium? Y equals E. The current equilibrium. Y equals E. So Y is equal to C plus I plus C plus net export. So Y is equal to C, they have given as 25 plus 0.8 YD. I, they have given, how much is I? I is 100. Government's purchases is 75 and net exports. Okay, there is no net exports. Okay, so then Y is, can we leave that YD as YD itself, or should we do something? Okay, so I'll add all the numbers. That's 200. Can I leave the YD as YD itself and bring Y minus YD onto that side? Yes. Can I do that? I can't do that. I need to convert that YD into Y, right? If you all do remember. So 0.8 into Y minus T, right? You need to do that. Exactly. Taxes are there, so you can't do that. So Y is equal to 200, right? Plus 0.8. Y, how much is our net taxes? Our net taxes is in the question, it is 100, right? So you need to put it that way. So Y is equal to then 200 plus 0.8 into Y is 0.8 Y. 0.8 into 100 is a minus, sorry, into minus 100 is a minus 80. So how much do we get? Y is equal to 200 minus 80 is 120. 120 plus 0.8 Y. 0.2 Y, I'm bringing that into this side. 0.2 Y is equal to 120. How much is Y equal to? Y is equal to 600. So that's the calculation that they are making you do without even implying that, right? So they're indirectly asking you to do that calculation. Okay, now here they are saying, right, full employment level is 1,000. Your current employment level is 600, right? So your current equilibrium level is 600. They are saying that the full employment level, right, that the full employment level is 1,000. So how much of change do you need? How much of a change do you need? How much should your national income change by? It should change by, to reach full employment, exactly, it should change by rupees 400. There is no billion, no million, no, it's changed by 400. Now they are asking, look at the question. Suppose that the full employment of this economy is 1,000 what would be the increase in government spending required to reach full employment? Alternatively, what reduction in tax collection would be sufficient to reach full employment? What do you think the answer is? Now, we found that the government expenditure multiplier is 5 times. That means if you increase government expenditure, it gets multiplied by 5 times. So you want to increase national income by 400. By how much should you increase your government spending there? Right. K is equal to change in income divided by the change in autonomous section. So you can say government spending here. So K we got as 5. The change in income that we are looking at, we want the income change. Currently it's 600. To go to 1000, we need the income change of 400. So 400. So change in government spending, can you calculate? Can you move things around and let me know how much do we get as change in government spending? Guys, class will finish at 9. Not really balanced budget, but they're looking at two sides of not balanced budget really. Okay, the change in government spending is a 80. So government spending has to increase by 80. So because why? When government spending increases by 80, it gets multiplied 5 times, and then national income will increase by 400. You'll get that? Yes or no? Got that? No, did not get that. Got it? Okay. So then the other side of it, what can you do for taxes? That is one way of increasing national income. What can you do with taxes? Taxes, if you take your KT, tax multiplier is equal to a change in national income. Change in national income divided by change in tax. Your tax multiplier we found as -4, right? We calculated it before. So KT is -4. Change in national income you need is a 400. Can you work things around and tell me how much is the change in tax that we need? Change in tax. Guys, be very careful with the pluses and the minuses. Change in tax is equal to a -100. So that means if you reduce tax by 100, right? Remember, tax always works the opposite direction. If you reduce tax only, national income will increase. So if you reduce tax by 100, it gets multiplied by 4. That is your tax multiplier, which we calculated. So if you reduce tax by 100, it gets multiplied by 4, and national income increases by 400. So that is how that comes. So those are your two answers, right, for that question. Yes or no? So you need a change. You calculated equilibrium level of national income. You found 600. In the question, they're saying the full employment is 1000. And then they're asking you to go to full employment. What should you do for government spending? You need a change of 400. So if you increase government spending by 80, that is correct, right? And another thing that you can do, or else what you can do, is you can reduce your taxes by 100. Yes, so earlier there was a tax of 100, fine. So maybe now they have to make the tax 0. So they have to reduce that tax by 100, or else they have to increase government spending by 80. So then if they do that, so guys, you all can do that calculation and see. So in one thing, make the government spending, which was 75, add a 80 and calculate y and c. You should get 1000. So add a 80 means you have to make it how much? That is 75 plus 80, 155. Make that 155, do the calculation, you will get 1000. Or else what you can do is reduce tax by 100. No, so you had tax of 100, make that 0. So make that 0, do the calculation and see, you should get 1000. Okay, so either if you reduce the tax by 100 or increase the government spending by 80, you can go from 600 to 1000. Not both, one of that. Okay, is that okay? Fine. Yes. Questions? No questions? If you can figure this out, that means you are at a good level in this unit, right? If you're completely blank, then you need to do something, right? Okay, so that's it with the 2000, I think that was the 2013 paper. There was a lot of interesting questions in that. Make sure you all go through. The 14 paper shall be starting next week, since we only have around, okay, we only have 10 minutes. I think 14 paper only has 2 questions. We'll do that. Okay, so explain the macroeconomic equilibrium in a simple economy using a diagram. Come on, that is the easy thing, no, guys. So in a simple economy, what did I say? The two parties that you have, you only have households and firms. So in a simple economy, y is equal to E, y is equal to what? C plus I. That's all that you have, right? So if you're drawing the diagram, right, you have your y equals E line, has to be a straight line. Okay, my lines are bad. Your y equals E line, and then you have your this line. You have your expenditure curve. So this is your expenditure curve. Okay, so please draw the diagrams carefully. So this is E equals C plus I, and then hold on, my board is stuck. Okay, so that's E equals C plus I, then this is y equals E. Okay, this is y equals E. This is this line. Okay, so that is how you show this thing. And in addition to that, you can also show the withdrawals equals injections one. So according to withdrawals equals injections, W equals J. In a simple economy, what are the withdrawals we have? We have savings and taxes. That's all that we have. So how does that diagram look like? That diagram is a small, it's a diagram like this. You have your withdrawals, you have your injection. So this is where you have equilibrium. In your diagram, please mark the axes. This is Y, this is E, this is Y, this is withdrawal slash injection. Okay, sorry, S equals I, sorry. Okay, right. So, okay, this one is your savings, this one is your investment. So in simple terms, they're asking you to show that in a diagram. That's all that you have to show. Okay, the two diagrams, ideally both the diagrams are important. They're asking explain the macroeconomic equilibrium of simple economy using a diagram. So you say in a simple economy, there is only two sectors, that is the households and the firms. So Y is equal to E, that's they only have consumption and investment. That is how the diagram will look like, draw and show. And then if you look at the withdrawals and injections, the only withdrawal and injection is savings and investment. And that is how the diagram will look like. Okay, and then we have again a question that is being repeated now. What is the impact of the investment multiplier in determining national income? Explain with an example. So I'll just go through AD equals AS. You don't really need here. If you want, you can draw and show. That's fine. Okay, so I'll show the answer itself and explain that story rather than writing the second one here. This is the 2014 A-level paper. Hold on. Okay, so if you look at the 2014 A-level paper, that is this question, right? So they're asking, what is the investment, what is meant by investment multiplier? Explain using an example, right? So here we are saying in a simple economy, multiplier affects the cumulative national income, right? And what happens is that when investment increases, national income increases a multiple number of times, right? So how do you calculate this multiplier? A equals 1 over 1 minus B. And then they're asking you to explain using an example. So when they say explain using an example, please give numbers, right? So here in a this thing, in economy where MPC is 0.8, investment is 100, and equilibrium national income. Okay. So if autonomous investment increase by 100, they are saying national income will increase by 500. How do you do it? Show using the equation, guys. K equals 1 over 1 minus B, right? B is MPC. You calculate K is 5. So then you put to the other equation. K is equal to change in Y divided by change in I. That equation is what they have changed things around, and they're showing that is changing by 500. So they're simply asking you, how will investment change national income? Explain using an example. So you first show how will that investment multiply is calculated, and then using an example, you have to explain. That's all that you have to do. It's a very, very easy question, guys. These questions are very easy. The only thing you might feel hard is because you have, one, you have not learned the unit. Two is you have not practiced the question. Right? If you have learned the unit, these are very direct questions from this unit. And if you have practiced, again, same question being repeated over and over and over again. Okay. So that is it with that paper. This one will ideally do the next class. We have a lot to do in the 2015 paper. So next class, ideally, we'll be able to finish unit number 6. We'll finish all the essay questions from unit number 6 next class. And then from the class afterwards, we'll start with unit number 7, that is money and banking. Because I'm not planning to do unit number 11 and 12. Maybe 11 and 12, I'll do the MCQs, but not the part 2. So 11 and 12, because most of you all don't write. Beyond the classroom will ideally end with us finishing unit number 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 and 10 we'll do together. It will kind of end there. 11 and 12, if we have time, we'll do the MCQs. Part 2, anyway, I'm not planning to discuss because we don't have time also. So that's the plan, and we'll keep things going. I don't know when the recording will be available on YouTube, but at some time it will be there. Yes, guys, before the 21 April, it will be there. All right. Okay, that's basically it. So thank you for coming. I'll see you all again next Saturday. Sometimes I might switch the class next Saturday because we have our road track. There's an AGM that we have on Saturday morning. So I'll have to be there. Sometimes I might shift the class. In case I shift the class, I'll let you all know another time. Okay. Okay, that's basically it. We'll do from the next paper and come. Please do the questions and come so that we can do it next class. Thank you guys. Have a good day. See you. Bye. Will they postpone the exams 2022? I don't think. Let's hope that doesn't happen. See you.